Hi guys, my name's Alana. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Mental Health with Alana. If you're new here, please click the red subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and also press the bell notification so you know every time that I post a video. If you want to check out my Instagram, I'll put it up here on the screen. Go check it out. I post disability and mental health content over there. So yeah, thank you for supporting me if you already follow me, and if you don't, then go do that. So today's video is a bit of a ramble video, and this was sparked by a few different things, and it's just something that I want to talk about on this channel because I'm a disabled person. I have mental health and a physical health condition, mental illnesses, quite severe mental illnesses, and chronic fatigue syndrome, which means that I often use a walker. Well, I use it really every time I go out, a walker whenever I leave the house, or my electric wheelchair. And purchasing that walker, 2 walkers, and electric wheelchair has been the best thing that I've ever done. It's helped me so much. It's given me so much freedom, and it's been amazing. And I think what I wanted to talk about is kind of like ableism and society's view on people with disabilities. It doesn't matter what the disability is. It could be mental, it could be mental illness, physical illness, or conditions. It could be neurological things like autism, really any of those things. People who've had strokes, who've become disabled, people who've had accidents and become disabled. You know, I have seen firsthand in my own life how people have treated me as a disabled person, and I do get looks when I use my walker, particularly my walker, because people look at me and I think they're thinking, this is just an assumption, but I think they're thinking, like, why is this young person using a walker? Because walkers are usually seen in, people who are older are usually using them. When in reality, there's actually a lot of young people who are using walkers for their disabilities. It's just that, where I live, it's a very small town, so you don't really see a lot of it. But I follow so many online creators who create content, who use walkers, who are young, who use wheelchairs, electric, manual, walking sticks, different devices in their home to help them. Like, I'm about to order a bunch of kitchen appliance things to help me because my hands shake really bad from my medication, from being on lithium. And so and also with my chronic fatigue, I don't have strong grip on things, or I'm not able to open jars. I struggle to do it buttons, zips, things in the kitchen, like trying to chop up things with a normal knife, trying to open cans, open things. I'm actually in the process of getting some appliances for that funded through my NDIS, but hopefully going to sort that out this week. But the reason why I wanted to make this video was because this morning when I went to church, my mum's friend was there, and she's disabled, and I'm not sure what disability she has, but she's in a wheelchair, and she's a lovely person, and I've only met her briefly, maybe once. I don't know her well, but she was, sitting. She doesn't go regularly to church, but I noticed, though, the first thing I noticed was that she was sitting there on her own. She was eating breakfast because she didn't have time to eat breakfast. So she's sitting at one of the tables eating her breakfast. And we walked in and we saw her, and so Mum's like, oh, let's go say hello. So we go over and we talked to her or whatever. And then we kind of left her because we were like, she's eating her breakfast. She probably just wanted to eat her breakfast without us trying to talk to her while she's eating because the service was going to start. But the one thing I did notice was that nobody else was sitting with her. No one had gone over to her and introduced themselves. Well, from the you know, from the amount of time that I was there, no one had really gone and talked to her. And I noticed this with my mum's other friend who's disabled, and whenever I see her, I know her very well because I've grown up knowing her. I've known her since I was a kid. My mum has known this person since she was a child. And when I see her, like at the shops, or if I see her at church or wherever I see her, like I always go up to her and talk to her. And her husband is also disabled. And I always go up and talk to them and just ask them like what's been going on, like just normal conversation, like, you know, as you would with anyone. And she's physically disabled and her speech is quite slurred and she's got other things. You know, physically she looks like she has cerebral palsy, but it's not that. I'm not going to go into what her disability is because that's her private information. But the point is that whenever I would go to church, no one would ever go up and talk to her. She doesn't really have any friends. She's quite isolated in parenting. She's got kids in parenting. And the more I see more and more disabled people around, people in wheelchairs, people who are disabled in some way, the more I've noticed that this is very common. People are scared of others with disabilities. People are frightened. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to act. They say the wrong thing. They say ableist comments. They ask inappropriate questions. You know, I mean, people in wheelchairs get comments like, oh, what's wrong with your legs? What happened to you? You know, and it's like no disabled person owes you their medical diagnosis, you know. And the thing that frustrates me the most is that these people are literally just normal people. They're human beings, like every single other person on the planet. They have the same wants, the same needs. They want to, you know, have relationships. They want friends. They want jobs. They want to be included in society and seen as an equal. And it makes me so mad and so angry and upset because I'm so passionate about this topic. It makes me so mad when they're not treated like that. And it's society's view that still hasn't really evolved much over time. You know, yes, we've come a long way from when people were shoved in asylums because they were disabled. But have we really come that far? I don't think so. From what I've observed being in the disabled community, being online in disabled communities, going out in public and seeing people with different disabilities, you know, they're always often with their support workers, like I have support workers, or their carer. And a lot of these people are so isolated and so alone because nobody bothers to take the time to go up and talk to them and actually find out about their lives and make friends with them and find out who they are as a person. You know, and one of the things that I have noticed too is that people who are nonverbal, people think that you can't even have a conversation with them. And it's like, just because someone is nonverbal doesn't mean that you can't communicate in different ways. It's the same with people who are deaf. If they're deaf, you can communicate with sign language or you can use other ways of communicating. And I've encountered people with a large variety of disabilities and been exposed to a lot of different disabilities. And I've done placements for my certificate for a mental health peer work where I got to even go with the OT to a lady's house where she had very severe, like probably the most severe cerebral palsy I've ever seen. She was basically bedbound and she couldn't speak. She couldn't shower herself. She couldn't feed herself. She loved Scooby-Doo. I thought that was really funny. She loved Scooby-Doo and she would just watch that all the time. And you know, we weren't there for that long. We were there to assess what type of equipment that she needed through the NDIS, and she had like ongoing 24-hour, care and support workers and stuff like that. But I looked at her and I just thought to myself, like, I wonder if this lady has any friends. I wonder if this lady has family who come and visit her. Like, I wonder if this lady gets out, like, in a wheelchair, and gets to experience things and see the world and, do things. And it made me quite sad, and it was very confronting too, in a way, because I was quite young when I did this I was doing this placement. I think it was 2020, possibly. So I must have been like 20 or 21. It was a long time ago, and when doing this placement, I got to sit in with people who had speech issues. So with the speech therapist, I got to sit in with the dietitian, I got to sit in with the physio, and the physios would do a lot of work, and the OTs would do a lot of work with people who had a lot of physical disabilities, and a lot of older people as well who've become disabled over time just because they've gotten older. And I got to meet so many people, different people with different disabilities, and sit in and, like, I got to sit with the social worker, and she kind of did a bit of counselling with the different people as well, help them find housing, finances, things like that, everyday life skills. And the OTs obviously help people, like, in the kitchen and, like, teaching them how to cook and, like, clean and do all these things. And I just found it so interesting, and I would love to go into although I'm so passionate about mental health, and I do love mental health, I've also got a really big heart for people with disabilities, and I've always been like that. I've always been that person who will go up to them and talk to them and treat them just like a normal person and just have a conversation with them. And, there's been so many times in my life where I've been in contact with different disabilities and different people, and you can communicate in all sorts of ways. There's so many ways to communicate, and I think as a society we need to do better. It's not good enough to be ignoring these people or asking people inappropriate questions or feeling too awkward to go up to them, because put yourself in their shoes. If you were them, would you like people to ostracize you and reject you and not want to get to know you? And a lot of these people are very lonely because nobody takes the time to actually get to know them. And you know what? So what if their speech is a bit slurred and it takes longer for them to get the words out? That doesn't give you any excuse not to go talk to the person. It just means you have to listen a bit more carefully, and, really pay attention. And I just think there's so many disabled people, and they don't want to be seen as these disabled, outcasts. That's not what they want to be seen as. They want to be seen as an equal and as the same as everybody else. And they have the same needs and wants as everybody else. So I think this is just a reminder to everyone to make sure that you really go out of your way to interact with people with disabilities, and not just see them as some, like, inspiration thing, and or have pity on them or feel sorry for them, because these people, they live full lives, they live happy lives, they live full lives. Yes, there are people, like what I was saying, that are isolated, and that needs to change, and that is partly due to society's view on disabilities and having just a misunderstanding of what disabilities are and what they're like. And as someone who lives with disabilities myself, I have felt very alone at times because I felt like people just don't understand. And people have said some really horrible things to me about my disabilities and about me as a person, because I'm disabled. I've had comments. I've had people who I thought were, acquaintances or friends say things that were really quite hurtful. So I know what it's like to be on the receiving end of that. So I just want to make this video to remind everyone to be kind to people, go out of your way to make someone's day, go out of your way to interact with them. Maybe that's the only person you know, that they've interacted with in that whole day, apart from their support worker or their carer, you know. And yeah, so I wanted to make this video just to remind everyone of that, and I hope that you like this type of content or this type of video. Make sure you subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next video.